There's a saying out there that the only constants in life are death and taxes, and depending on how you spin things, that's always going to be the case. But there's another saying that applies especially with what had been happening recently, and that's everything is political. You'd think that of all places politics wouldn't reach, gaming would be one of them. But when you dig down deeper, the understanding becomes clear that there's gaming and politics. And while we escape reality through video games, those same video games will eventually bring us back to it. Multiplayer games, there's politics involved, especially when you're sharing resources. Gathering everyone in that one campaign for D&D, there's also politics with campaigning leading you and your party or victims towards a singular goal. See a threat that needs dealing with out in the kitchen table or even in the battlefield, convincing everyone to set their sights on that threat unites everyone. And as shallow as it may seem, there's already politics there. With that said, when did politics rear its ugly head in recent times? And how big of an impact did politics really have with gaming as a whole? Let's talk about consoles. Did you know that the Nintendo Switch 2 will be increasing in price this year by around $50 across the board? It's not just the Nintendo Switch 2, by the way, but literally every single Switch console available. And in their announcement, they cited this specifically, which was changes in market conditions and after considering the global business outlook. You'd think it'd be specific to just a certain manufacturer, but just earlier this year, the PlayStation 5 had a significant global price increase driven by inflation and component costs. Now, dear viewer, you'd say maybe it was a fluke because those components could have been taken by AI, but while AI does use a disgusting amount of electricity, water, and specialized hardware, this could have been regulated if there were laws implemented to control the market. But alas, that's just how life is. Microsoft already increased its prices late last year, citing changes in the macroeconomic environment. And if that's not an indicator that global politics could have been better, the fact that this is the only generation to actually increase console prices almost 6 years after their release should be alarming. Now, let's get into something socially political, at least when it comes to games, and that's loot boxes. Did you know the entire gacha thing is a way to circumvent direct gambling by framing mechanics as collectible fun rather than using real-world money? This is because what you gacha for doesn't have legitimate monetary value. Now heading back into gacha, you'd ask why e-gambling is allowed, and that goes into politics mixed with its governing body's culture. When in Rome, do as the Romans, right? Depending on where you're at, it's probably illegal and or legal, but that just goes to show how political inclinations and disciplines would go above all things. Imagine EA of all things had to comply to Belgium in Apex Legends. It's still gacha, but instead of items, you get currency, which is a bit sad, but it's those gamified experiences that show why the experience is scary. From globally to nationally, let's talk about how gaming can be political in a national sense, and nothing shows this better than through censorship and esports. Going back into the social aspect, certain games get altered depending on where they release. Some countries tone down violence while others remove specific imagery, dialogue, or themes entirely depending on cultural and governmental standards. The game may still be the same mechanically, but the experience itself becomes shaped by politics and regulation. Then there's esports. It sounds silly at first, but gaming has become tied to national pride. Whether it's Korea dominating League of Legends, China in Dota, or the Philippines thriving in mobile esports, people rally behind these victories like international sporting events. Governments invest into esports programs. Companies push for regional dominance, and suddenly gaming becomes representative of identity itself. But politics in gaming isn't always bad. Some of the greatest games ever made were political from the start. Metal Gear tackled war and misinformation, while Final Fantasy VII talked about environmental destruction and corporate greed, long before those were conversations that became mainstream. Games reflect society because art always reflects the world around it. The issue starts when politics becomes the only thing people talk about. Every release becomes outrage bait, every discussion turns tribalistic, and people spend more time fighting online than actually playing games. When it's all said and done, politics really is a part of everything, and gaming is no exception. While it's startling how everything would cascade affecting gaming as a whole, there's still that chance that things could get better. But for now, we wait. For more content like this and other updates down the line, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.